Good evening and thank you for joining us on the news on NTA International. I'm Hadiza Najat Tijani and with me is Shegun Ajayi. But first, the headlines. U.S. Department of State's report on Lekki tollgate killings exonerates Nigerian government. Nigerian Air Force in search of missing Alpha jet. Plus, World Trade Organization projects 8% rise in volume of world merchandise trade. And now the news in detail. The U.S. Department of State says there is no verifiable evidence on the reported killings of NSAS protesters at the Lekki tollgate on October 20 last year. In a report titled 2020 Country Reports on Human Rights Practices, Nigeria, and released on Tuesday this week, the United States explained that accurate information on fatalities resulting from the shooting was not available at the end of the year. Government disputed Amnesty International's report of 10 casualties, while no other organization was able to verify the claim. The report also touches on the issues of extrajudicial killings, insurgency and corruption, as well as banditry in Nigeria, acknowledging the efforts of the government in ensuring good governance in the country. In the meantime, the Buhari Media Organization has described the U.S. report as a vindication of the administration's stance that troops did not open fire on protesters as a further dent in the credibility of Amnesty International. BMO says the U.S. Human Rights Report has shown that Amnesty International is unreliable as an unbiased witness of truth, as well as called to question the motive of the organizers of the NSAS in seeking to blackmail the government and cause global disaffection against Nigeria by spreading deliberate falsehood. The group adds that President Buhari would continue to respect and uphold the fundamental rights of all Nigerians, regardless of their religious, ethnic, or political persuasions. The World Trade Organization has projected that the volume of world merchandise trade is expected to increase by 8% in 2021. Adebola Brooksland Sunday reports that the Director General, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, made this known after the release of a report in Geneva.
In 2020, the world merchandise trade fell by 5.3% following the effect of coronavirus pandemic. According to the reports, the rebound is expected to gain momentum as merchandise trade expanded more rapidly than expected in the second half of last year. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala said COVID-19 vaccines play a crucial role in economic recovery and called for equitable access to vaccines.
The rapid development of effective vaccines has given the world a realistic chance of stopping this disease in its tracks and jump-starting the world economy at the same time. But this opportunity could be squandered if large numbers of countries and people do not have equal access to vaccines. A rapid, global, and equitable vaccine rollout is the best stimulus plan we have for the strong and sustained economic recovery that we all need.
The Apex Trade Organization said COVID-19 remains the biggest threat to trade, and the recurrence of the pandemic can easily disrupt the trade recovery. Adebola Brooksland Sunday, NTA News.
Ongoing trial shows that Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine is effective against the South Africa COVID-19 variant as African Union calls for urgent action after Mozambique attack. Joyce Ometu has details on Global Update.
Pfizer and BioNTech says that the vaccine is highly effective against the South African variant of COVID-19. In a statement, the company said the latest phase of ongoing clinical trials reveal that no cases of the disease were observed in participants who had received their second dose. Meanwhile, recent discussions between the president of Madagascar, Andry Rajoelina, and members of the country's National Academy of Medicine have resulted in the decision to have the nation officially join the WHO-led COVAX program in a move to procure COVID-19 vaccines for Madagascar's population. This decision, they say, will however not affect the ongoing distribution of the local controversial anti-coronavirus remedy, COVID-19 organics. From Europe, the World Health Organization has criticized the rollout of coronavirus vaccines in that region, describing it as unacceptably slow. The United Nations Health Agency says 10% out of Europe's total population of 900 million have received one dose of COVID-19 vaccine. Data shows that Brazil has suffered its heaviest month of COVID-19 losses as 67,000 deaths were recorded in March. 3,950 deaths were also recorded on Wednesday, with experts warning that the situation will deteriorate further in April. Meanwhile, global fatality figure has risen to 2.8 million out of the 129 million cases on record. This is just as total positive cases in Nigeria rose to 162,891 on Wednesday. In other news, the African Union has called for urgent and coordinated international action after an attack by fighters that killed dozens and uprooted thousands in the northern Mozambican coastal town of Palma. In another development, the foreign ministers of Egypt, Ethiopia and Sudan will meet in Kinshasa from Saturday for talks on the controversial Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam on the Blue Nile. Officials at the Foreign Ministry and Presidency say the three-day meeting will be hosted by President Felix Tshisekedi, who took over the chair of the African Union last month. And that ends this segment. I am Joyce Ometu.
Thank you, Joyce. And back home in Nigeria, the Federal Ministry of Agriculture has destroyed donkey skin worth more than 67 million naira, confiscated from people who engage in illegal hides and skin business. Musa Baba Ali reports that the skins were impounded during a raid on hideouts used to store the skins for trafficking out of Nigeria.
There have been global concerns over donkeys going extinct, considering the way the animal is being killed for their skin or meat. Here in Nigeria, it has been estimated that over 60% of donkey population has been killed for their skin. It is in the light of this that the government prohibited the slaughtering of the animal, including trading of any of its byproducts, without the approval of Nigeria Agriculture Quarantine Services.
Various security agencies to intervene, not negatively, for the quarantine to achieve this aim.
And these 1,500 pieces of donkey skin being destroyed were confiscated from merchants by government officials in Gwagwalada, Abuja. Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
President Muhammadu Buhari has written the Senate to confirm Justice Salisu Garba Abdullahi, who has been in acting capacity as the substantive Chief Judge of the High Court of the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. In a statement signed by the Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, President Buhari made the request pursuant to Section 256, subsection 1 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended. In the letter dated April 1st, 2021, the President urged the Senate to do the confirmation in the usual expeditious manner. And the National Assembly Service Commission has appealed to the Senate for inclusion of the Commission and that of state assemblies in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. This appeal was made to the Senate Committee on Establishment and Public Service during its oversight to the Commission. Dayo Ogunshola reports.
The National Assembly Service Commission is an agency established to build a workforce that will provide support and expertise to legislators with a view to meeting the challenges of legislation in democratic governance. The oversight by Senate Committee on Establishment and public service to the Commission. Therefore, is to appraise its challenges and the way forward.
If we can hand over the building before we leave as commissioners, I think that would be a great pride for us, Your Excellency. So we need your support in that direction. Final areas where we require intervention, as I mentioned earlier, is the inclusion of the National Assembly Service and the State Assembly Commission into the Constitution.
Members of the committee acknowledge the reforms already brought to bear on the Commission by its new management.
This issue is being raised, we want to say, at the appropriate time. Some of us here are members of the Constitution Review Committee. You said you have made the submission. We will check at the Secretariat to ensure that your submission really is put on the table.
It pays us in the National Assembly to support this commission. You know, your comfort is our comfort. Okay, if you are comfortable to do the job, you are complementing and you are assisting members of the National Assembly.
The committee was also at the Pensions Transitional Arrangement Directorate, where the Executive Secretary availed the chairman with details of efforts to reposition the agency for optimum performance. In Abuja, Dayo Gunshola, NTA News.
On the security front, an Alpha jet belonging to the Nigerian Air Force, NAF, has gone missing while conducting a mission. In a tweet by the NAF Director, Public Relations and Information, Air Commodore Edward Gabwet, the incident occurred on Wednesday night at one of the theaters of operation in northern Nigeria. The Nigerian Air Force says it is currently conducting a rescue mission for the pilots. The Alpha jet is a light attack and advanced trainer aircraft which has played a significant role in counterinsurgency missions under Operation Laifia Aduli in the northeast. Meanwhile, the Minister of Defense, Major General Bashir Salihi Magashi, says provisions of the 2020 and 2021 budgets are accelerating the effort of the federal government towards achieving a highly organized armed forces. This was his assertion while receiving the Senate Committee on Defense on a two-day oversight. National Assembly correspondent Abdullahi Aminu reports.
Status of allocations for capital projects and successes recorded so far in the fight against insurgency were the areas that the minister explained.
We give them answers with a view to improving the security situation in the country.
The main question is now security challenges. But along the way, we also discuss budget matters, budget from the previous years, current year, and so on.
At the Defense Research and Development Bureau, the senators were briefed on processes towards attaining maximum operational competency of the armed forces.
The money has been very well spent, and for the things that we are doing, a lot has to do with helping to solve a lot of the problems that our troops are facing in the northeast, in the northwest, north central, in the issues of insurgency, banditry and all.
The commercial technology, the modification you are talking about, the armed forces is already doing a lot on that, sir.
Benchmark what we are supposed to do and correct us and help us where necessary. Thank you very much.
Ethics bordering on cyber warfare were also brought up at the oversight, and the committee assured of commitment to ensuring efficient administration in the nation's defense sector. In Abuja, Abdullahi Aminu, NTA News.
Now, good news for the media and manufacturers alike, as the digital switchover team is putting up a proposal to the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment to ask for a reduction in the tariff in raw materials for the manufacturing of the set-top boxes and other components in Nigeria. The Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, said this at a virtual meeting on digital switchover organized by AIM Media Company Limited in collaboration with the National Broadcasting Commission. Adebola Brookston Sunday reports.
The virtual meeting has in attendance content producers, signal distributors, and media chief executives. Minister of Information and Culture Lai Mohammed said federal government will also support channel owners and content providers.
Very soon, ABCON and the National Broadcasting Commission will sign an MOU on zero advertising debts to ensure that revenue from advertisers goes to the media owners.
Chairman of DG Team, Edward Amana, is optimistic that the switch over will have positive impacts on the nation's GDP.
Totality of the 168 megahertz UHF spectrum has the potential to affect the country minimum $2.35 billion.
Director General of NTA, Yakubu Ibn Muhammad, in his submission said NTA remains a critical stakeholder in the value chain of the switchover.
I can confidently say that the NTA can claim to have pioneered digital broadcasting in Nigeria with the introduction of its multi-channels in 2016 in conjunction with the Star Times television network.
Director General of the National Broadcasting Commission, Professor Armstrong Idachaba, reminded the entire value chain team on the need for them to be mindful of the broadcasting code, which has not changed.
We are not going to allow things that are professionally wrong or things that are incriminating in regards to the ethical considerations. To rely more on technology in terms of monitoring, also the capacity for effective enforcement.
Us as broadcasters too, we need to up our game. We need to improve the quality of our content, both the technical quality and the editorial quality.
April 29 of this year has been slated for the phase 2 rollouts of the switchover. Adebola, Brookslyn Sunday, NTA News.
Thank you, Adebola. This is the news on NTA International. There will be more stories after the break.
Experience unlimited super-fast internet access from Intel 4G. Intel. Live more.
Thanks for staying with NTA International. More than 51 million Nigerians have so far been enrolled for the mandatory National Identification Number by the National Identity Management Commission. The Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Dr. Isa Ali Ibrahim Pantami, stated this while giving an update on the enrollment exercise. State House correspondent Adam Usambo has details.
Today we live in a country where our population is being estimated by saying plus minus 10 million. Are you happy with this? Nobody will be happy. Plus minus 10 million is enough to be a population of another country.
The ongoing enrollment exercise for the National Identification Number, the minister insists, is critical towards achieving a complete and reliable database for Nigerian citizens. He reminded Nigerians to enroll in their own interest, warning that those yet to obtain the National Identification Number risk a 14-year jail term as stipulated by the Nigerian Constitution.
As the minister in charge of the sector, this is one of the most difficult decisions we have taken, but it becomes necessary in order to ensure we contribute our quota in making our country safe and secure for all.
The minister said for citizens to conduct certain activities or enjoy government services, including obtaining voters' cards and opening a bank account in the country without the National Identification Number, is an offense.
Mr. President has appointed me to ensure laws and policies of government are implemented. With all sense of humility and responsibility, we want to ensure our laws are respected, and we will go to any extent to convince our citizens to respect the law, and we will do our best to enforce the law in collaboration with other stakeholders and security agencies.
He said no country will be successful in education, health, budget, or national planning without a database of its citizens in place. The Director General of the National Identity Management Commission, Aliyu Abdulaziz Abubakar, reacts to alleged widespread extortion of enrollees by the registration officials and touts.
NIN is free, and it is free for all citizens, therefore that nobody should pay any person. So, and you know it is a crime from the giver and also the taker. All our staff that are found wanting, we discipline them. But we are not in charge of what happens outside the centers. If there are touts, the security agencies are also working on that, and they have been catching a lot of people. So my advice is for people to resist, because enrollment is free. And even the private sector people that have been engaged now, it's government that is going to pay them for the activities that they do.
The Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy expressed the belief that at the end of the registration exercise, each and every SIM in Nigeria will be attached to its rightful owner. From the State House, Adam Musambo, NTA News.
The Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors has begun an indefinite strike after consulting with its Congress. A reconciliation meeting held last night ended with the signing of a memorandum of understanding and action plan for implementation of the demands between the federal government and the group, with the hope that it would prevent the strike. The Minister of Labour and Employment, Chris Ngige, assured the group that government has started addressing some of their demands and within the stipulated timeline will settle all their agitations.
Government has moved proactively to address most of the issues ahead of your coming. In lower parlance, what we have done here today is that we have arrested their disputes and we're addressing them, and we're happy that you understand. So I give you assurance that most of the things written here will be done.
NARD is fighting against non-payment and non-recruitment of house officers, abolishment of bench fees, non-payment of national minimum wage and hazard allowance. After about 2.5 years, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has announced Monday, 28th June 2021, for the resumption of the continuous voter registration exercise nationwide. Mayor Ogidi reports that the INEC chairman, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, is however worried about the growing security concerns in Anambra State.
A tiny material, but a mighty weapon for the electorate. But providing this material was suspended in August 2018, but to resume in June 2021. This will continue till the third quarter of the year 2022. But in Anambra State, the exercise will be temporarily suspended in August 2021 and will resume after the governorship elections in November. This is to enable INEC tidy up the voter register.
We are going to deploy the online registration portal so that people don't have to crowd around the polling units during the period for registration of voters. They can start the process online, and there's going to be a locator to the portal that we are developing that will guide them to the next available registration center. So they simply go for the capture of their facials and the biometrics. You don't have to go and spend a long time doing all the processes all at the same time. And we hope also that doing so will help us to deal with one of the nagging issues in voter registration, that is multiple registration. I repeat, NIN is not going to be mandatory for voter registration, for the simple reason that we are operating on the basis of the law establishing INEC.
Governorship election slated for November 6 in Anambra State, but the sounds of gun scare INEC because the commission is yet to recover from the Ekiti State constituency experience where some lives were lost.
And we have suspended Ekiti indefinitely, and I mean indefinitely.
Indefinite in Ekiti State, but preventing the spread of the coronavirus through the syringe is definite. So the INEC chair takes its job. Mayor Ogidi, NTA News.
And still on voter participation, state chairmen of the All Progressives Congress have joined those demanding for the extension of the ongoing membership registration and revalidation exercise of the party. Chairman of the Forum of APC State Chairman Ali Bukar Daluri addressed journalists at the end of a closed-door strategic engagement in Abuja. They appealed to the Governor May Malabuni-led caretaker and extraordinary National Convention Committee to carry out its functions, including organizing a national convention within the time frame.
So far has provided a prelude to what is to be expected in all future elections in Nigeria. With the turnout of Nigerians to identify with us, it is certain that the trust of Nigerians in the party remain unwavering. Thus, after conduct and conclusions of the membership registration and the revalidation exercise, we urgently call for the immediate conduct of Congress on convening of the National Convention.
The ongoing membership registration and revalidation exercise by the party commenced in February and is expected to last for a month. President Muhammadu Buhari rejoices with Christians as they celebrate Easter this year. The president, in a statement, recognized the resilience and understanding of Christians who could not attend traditional church services for celebration last year due to the coronavirus pandemic. He therefore expresses delight at the opportunity for brethren to congregate and worship together cautiously. President Buhari reminds Christian faithful that Easter is an opportunity to renew hope and faith, show love and appreciation to one another. He says that government will continue to ensure that the weak, the poor and the underprivileged are not abandoned. The president acknowledges and appreciates the sacrifices of frontline doctors and nurses for their efforts at keeping the population healthy in the face of COVID-19. President Buhari also commends law enforcement and military personnel who continue to confront evil-minded individuals through the darkest of nights to keep Nigerians safe. And up next is Sports Update.
As officials and athletes set to arrive Benin, the Edo State capital, for the 20th National Sports Festival, organizers say the state is ready to host the games, which begin on Friday. About 8,000 athletes and officials are expected to take part in 29 games between 2nd to 14 April.
We had always been at the training ground, coaches, sport officers, and athletes morning and evening, in exception of Sundays. So FCT is battle ready.
Away from the National Sports Festival, outstanding athletes at the just-ended National Principals Cup finals in Abuja will be awarded scholarships for 4 years in Japan. There are plans to have more events and more schools compete in the next edition of the championships.
They can still go further to the university level and come back home to represent the country in any sports.
Ahead of the 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup, World Football Governing Body FIFA has announced 9 stadiums that will be used in the first FIFA Women's World Cup to be co-hosted by Australia and New Zealand. In tennis, it was a sad day for world number 2 Naomi Osaka after her 23-match winning streak came to an end at the quarterfinals of the Miami Open. The Japanese tennis star lost 6-4 to Greek's 23rd seed, Maria Sakkari. Osaka's defeat leaves her unable to regain the world number 1 ranking from Australia's Ashley Barty. With sports updates, Tamara Ebiwe, NTA News.
And Sports Update concludes the news on NTA International. Thank you for watching, as Shegun would sign, and remember to connect with the NTA to stand against rape and rapists. I'm Najaa Tijani with Shegun Ajayi.